This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, and happy Easter as we get set for this little quick video here on the Edmonton Oilers, a follow-up to what we were talking about yesterday with our Edmonton Oilers prior to puck drop against the San Jose Sharks. And obviously that mission got done yesterday, and that is fantastic with the late game wrapping up the way it did, keeping the LA Kings at a grand total of 100 points this season with 80 games played. Friends, if you're new to the channel, just really quick, consider hitting that subscribe button. We're going to be going hard for the playoffs. I'd love to have you aboard. And secondary to that, if you're returning, thank you for being here this morning, especially here on Easter. Really appreciate you being along for the ride as we get to talk about the Edmonton Oilers clinching home ice in the first round of the playoffs at bare minimum. There are some things still. This is more of a standings update than it is just celebrating clinching home ice in the first round of the playoffs. But you get where I'm going. It is a big time get for the Edmonton Oilers to have home ice here in the first round of the playoffs. Obviously, there was a couple of weeks ago questions on if we'd be able to get past LA, questions if we'd ever be able to catch Vegas. I was even questioning it. And now things kind of boil down with 105 points. It is physically impossible for the LA Kings or the Seattle Kraken to take away home ice from us in the first round of the playoffs. Now, Seattle, here's the thing. We've been locked in to playing LA for a couple of weeks now, right? I think everybody's, oh, we're going to play LA. It's going to be a good series against LA. Oh, this LA, that LA. Well, we beat LA a couple of times, really held them down from getting points against us, and that has allowed us by game 80 to clinch home ice in the first round of the playoffs. But then in the background, Seattle has been coming up and playing hockey, and winning a couple of games in a row now, 4 in a row here at the perfect time of the year, and now they are just 2 points back of pushing LA into a tiebreaker scenario. I don't know who has the tiebreaker between LA and Seattle, but if Seattle can somehow find a way to win 3 of its next 3 games, right, close out the season on a 7-game win streak similar to us, and LA only wins their last 2, LA would finish with 104 points, and while Seattle would also finish with 104 points. So there'd be an interesting tie-breaking scenario. So this is where it gets really, really sketchy for LA. I think they got to definitely go out there and make sure they win their last 2 games and hope that Seattle loses one of them to keep them down in the wild card spot. Because if LA somehow, some way loses either both their last 2 games or one of their last games, they're going to be in trouble in terms of the wild card race, and that's something I don't think any of us would have predicted here just a couple of weeks ago the way it was seeming. And now LA too is on a 3-game losing streak entering play against the Canucks on Monday, so their season hanging in the balance in terms of what they're going to get for a playoff seeding. And I know I had a comment there the other day that LA deserves home ice in the playoffs. Well, problem is, this time of year, it's not what you deserved all year long. It's what you earned in the last few weeks of the season. And LA, so far in the last 3 games, not earning anything of substance as they are just free-falling through the standings, even though realistically they're still probably firmly in that 3rd spot in the Pacific, and they play the Oilers in the first round. It just, you go on a 3-game losing streak, and the guys right behind you that are now 2 points with a game in hand behind you are on a 4-game winning streak. Doesn't look good for the LA Kings, but for the Oilers, right, we've avoided that whole mess. We've gone out, we've done our job, a convincing victory against the San Jose Sharks yesterday in which every little thing was going just perfect for the Edmonton Oilers. And it was a sleepy one there for about the first half of the game, and then the Oilers offense woke up and they just made it a rocket of a game the rest of the way. And the Oilers still, with 2 games remaining, a chance to hit 50 wins. And that's where, right, you're looking down at LA and Seattle, who will play if we're in the 2-hole. But there is still that chance, right, if Vegas gets 1 less win than us the rest of the way home, whether they lose 2 of their last 2 or they win 1 of their last 2 and we win both of our last 2. If we win 1 more game than Vegas in the last 2 games of the season and Vegas loses everything in regulation that they lose, we will have the tiebreak, we will win the Western Conference, and we will be the best team in the NHL's West this season. That seems absolutely crazy to me, but that's kind of what the Oilers have earned over this 7-game win streak, right? We're talking about that win streak for the Seattle Kraken and what it does to really just help you out a little bit down the stretch. And when a team starts free falling a bit, it's quite easy to catch them. And for the Oilers, yeah, you know what? Over the past 5 games, the Vegas Golden Knights have only missed 2 points. But missing that point yesterday against the Colorado Avalanche was so... Sorry, who did they play? I don't think it was the Avalanche. It was the Stars. I think Los Angeles played Colorado. My apologies. But missing that point against the Dallas Stars is so crucial to, unfortunately, knocking them back to where the Oilers are right there in striking distance. And I mean, Vegas is going to know down the stretch here in these last 2 games that one loss could mean the loss of the division title. And, you know, Vegas is a good hockey team, so they're going to be going out there flying on cylinders. They play the Seattle Kraken, and you want to talk about, that one is on Tuesday. You want to talk about an interesting game right there down this last few games of the season. That would be an interesting game to see between those 2 teams. That's almost must-watch television, because if the Seattle Kraken win, we have mass chaos in the Pacific Division, right? The Oilers likely to take first place if they can win their last 2 games and Vegas loses one. And then, yeah, guess what else? Seattle could creep up into that 3-hole. And we've been assuming this whole time it's going to be either Vegas, Edmonton in 1-2, LA in 3, Seattle in the wild card 1, and then Winnipeg in the wild card 2 as they continue to free fall but also win some games. Calgary's right there. So there is a possibility right now. Just listen to how this could possibly line up in the Pacific and wild card. The Oilers could be number 1. The Vegas Golden Knights could be number 2. The Seattle Kraken could be number 3. The LA Kings could be wild card number 1. And the Calgary Flames, Nashville Predators are looking like they're probably going to be out of it at this point. The Calgary Flames or Winnipeg Jets will be your number 2 wild card team this season. So there is mass chaos available down the stretch here in the last 2-3 games, right? The 2 wildcard teams, Seattle and Winnipeg, have played only 79 games, so they've got 3 games remaining, whereas the Oilers, Kings, Kings, Knights, and Flames all have a grand total of 80 games played. So there's a bunch to be decided here down the stretch for everybody involved. Obviously, Calgary, if they wouldn't have taken that shootout loss there overtime loss against the Vancouver Canucks last night, they would be right there tied with the Winnipeg Jets. So they're on a hope and a prayer to try and get into the playoffs. And obviously, too, the Oilers just on a hope and a prayer to try and win their last 2 games and hope that the Vegas Golden Knights lose one of their games. And the LA Kings just hoping they can win some down the stretch here, or else Seattle is going to have something to say about the 3rd spot in the Pacific Division. Friends, I'm Tyson. This is Dolynny TV. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Have a great Easter. I don't know if there will be any other news, but we did it. We clinched home ice in the playoffs, and the division is still on the line with games 81 and 82 to play. I am up on out of here.